Welcome back inside the Nick and Astis Show. Nick and Astis, Christian Arcand with you. Joined here in a moment by head football coach Pat Murphy. Your calls are welcome, 603-883-9900. Your tweets as well. Seems like everybody's tweeting today following that Monday Night Football debacle last night. We're on Twitter at WGAM The Game. We're online at WGAMTheGame.com. Time now for the guest menu, brought to you by Brothers Restaurant and Lounge. At Brothers, they have the best Greek, Italian, seafood, and American dishes and have been serving families in Manchester for 40 years. The Brothers lunch menu is unbeatable. Every day from 11 to 3, everything on the menu is under $8. Spanish pita, Reuben sandwiches, steak tip subs, fish and chips, salmon burgers, and more. Gigantic portions, all for under $8. Bring the family down to Brothers tonight as well. The dinner menu includes shrimp Alfredo, fresh chicken parm, and other homemade Italian dishes, teriyaki beef tips, baked or fried jumbo shrimp or scallops, baked lamb, gyro, and other specialty Greek dinners. Head to Brothers during the game to check out the Brothers Lounge. The Brothers Bar Special includes a 16-ounce draft plus an appetizer for $5.99. Grilled cheese, spicy fries, hot dogs, chips and salsa, and more. Brothers Restaurant and Lounge, 6 Willow Street in Manchester. Call 668-7333. Brothers Restaurant and Lounge, serving families in the Manchester area for 40 years. Ask about the WGAM special. See the full menu at brothersmanchester.com. And we're joined now by head football coach Pat Murphy of the St. Anselm Hawks. Coach, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Did you see any of that Monday night game last night?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think? Are you as disgusted as I am?
Yeah, it's when it detracts from the game, and when it you're talking more about the referees than you are about the defensive output that both of those teams had yesterday. Then there's something wrong.
Yeah, anytime a game with 9 sacks doesn't get mentioned from a defensive perspective is clearly a problem. Never mind the final play and what a hose job that was. I just feel bad for the Packers, number one. And number two, there's got to be some real pressure, I think, put on these owners to try and fix this thing. But that's a whole nother topic, Coach.
Yeah, no question. I don't think the Patriots game was too well officiated as well. But, I have no say in any of that.
Right. Coach Pat Murphy joining us on the St. A's Coaches Show, part of the Nick and Astis Show here on Sports Radio, WGAM The Game. Now, Coach, you ran into a very good New Haven team, number 8 in the country over the weekend, and came up short, 45-0. What were some of the positives, we'll start there, that you can take away from this kind of a performance?
Not a whole hell of a lot, to be honest with you. I was pretty disappointed in how we handled the environment. I think for the first time all year we played intimidated. And that's something that we've got to change, and that's my job to change it, and we didn't do a good job of that. And it's a great place to see a game. It's a great football environment there. They're doing it the correct way at New Haven. And I don't think we handled the environment well, and I don't think we handled adversity well throughout the game. The bright spots, I think, is we had a young freshman quarterback come in off the bench when Ray Doucette sustained an injury, and after the first series that he was in there, did an excellent job. Andrew Murphy did a real good job the rest of the way against, like you said, a top 10 team in the country, and a team that's loaded with junior and seniors throughout the lineup, and I thought Murph did a real good job. The quarter and a half he was in there.
You're speaking of Andrew Murphy, who goes 4 of 7 coming off the bench, finishing with 15 yards. What's the status here with both Ray Doucette and Cupa, who did not play in this football game?
Yeah, we're obviously hoping to get both of them back as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we're not sure when either or both of those guys will be back. I'm pretty sure Steve will be back, and I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. Not sure about Ray yet. I know we have an MRI scheduled for him, and he was in yesterday. He was feeling better than he did at game day, but we're not quite sure where he's at.
You're listening to the St. Anselm Coaches Shows. We speak with head football coach for the Hawks, Pat Murphy, part of the Nick and Astor Show on Sports Radio WGAM. The Game. Coach Murphy joins us via the Brothers Guest Menu. Now, Coach, you mentioned that your team was not ready to play for this one. Does the fact that 3 of the first 4 games so far have been on the road, and you've got another road challenge coming up, that means 4 of the first 5 are away from home. Does that wear on a young team, and perhaps had something to do with the fact that they didn't come out swinging?
No, I don't think that was it. I think you've got to be ready to play wherever they spot the ball, whether it's at home or away at a neutral site. I don't think that was it. I think having a very young team, again, only 7% of our team are seniors. I think they've got to not look at, hey, this is the 8th ranked team in the country. They've got to not look at the schedule or the win-loss record going into that, and they've just got to line up and play. I tell the guys all the time, every snap is a test you never get to take again. It's pass, fail, and regardless of what happens, you've got to move on to the next play. Whatever you did on the last test, that's fine. Go to the next test. And I don't think we did a good job of competing overall throughout the day. I think we competed at times. I think we showed flashes of what we can do, but not in a consistent fashion. And when you give a very good team like New Haven opportunities, more often than not, good teams are going to take advantage of those opportunities, and they did that the other day.
Coach, your inability to run the football, I would think, has really attributed to some of these offensive problems. Only 1.7 yards per rush and just over 42 yards per game. How big of a priority is fixing the running game?
Very much so. I mean, I'm a former fullback. I want to run the ball. Our first year in the league here, we led the league in rushing. We averaged over 230 yards a game rushing. But so far, we in no way resemble that team. We've got to get healthy on the offensive line, and we've got to play more physical up front, and that's definitely been an issue. Now that said, New Haven, I don't think anyone's run the ball on them in the last 2 years with any amount of consistent success. We've got to balance out the run game with the pass game much more so than we did last week. But part of our run game right now against teams like the University of New Haven, like a Southern Connecticut with the larger bodies than we have right now, is we've got to engineer auxiliary runs, which are our screen game, which is our 3-step game, which in my mind are just long handoffs. And we've got to do a better job. If we can't run the ball consistently as far as handing the ball off, we've got to do a better job as far as our auxiliary run game, which is the screen game and quick game.
You're listening to the St. A's Coaches Show here on the Nick and Astor Show, Sports Radio WGAM. The Game. Hawks head football coach Pat Murphy joining us as St. A's gets ready for yet another road challenge against a traditionally tough opponent in Southern Connecticut Skate. But looking at that New Haven game a little further, one name that stood out, and really for 2 weeks in a row now, is wide receiver Justin Bernard. 10 grabs, 81 yards. He looks like he's starting to find his own out there on the field.
Yeah, Justin had an injury a year ago, was out the whole year. I think he's just starting to get back into the groove of things. He's an exceptional talent. He works hard. He's got a good football IQ. He's a big kid. He's around 6'1", around 200 pounds. He's physical. He's got to elevate his level of consistency both throughout the work week as well as game day. But he's a guy that I think can be an exceptional player over the next 2.5 years here. How
about this guy, Brendan Timmons? His name jumped out because he helped lead the way tackle-wise on the defensive side of the football. Him and linebacker Chris Bent each finished with 6 total tackles. What do we know about Brendan Timmons?
Yeah, Timmons is a classic overachiever. Came in 4 years ago at about 180 pounds. And has worked hard. He's worked hard in the weight room. He does everything we ask. He is a scholar athlete. He is one of our top academic kids on the roster, and just does an excellent job of doing what we ask, and is very consistent about doing that.
Coach, what about Southern Connecticut State? Are they in a down year right now or no?
I don't think you can ever say Southern's in a down year. They started off with a tough schedule as well. They've played 2 top 10 teams like we have. They've played 2 teams in our league in Stonehill and Merrimack, who were thought to be 2 of the better teams in the league coming into this year. So they've had a very, very similar start to what we have. But when you look at the NE10 over the last 30 years, one team stands out above everyone else as far as the level of consistency and where they are in the top, 2 to 3 teams in the league year in and year out, and that's Southern Connecticut. They're still very much a Southern Connecticut team. They're huge up front, both sides of the ball. Offensive line averages well over 300 pounds. They have a great tailback, as they always do. They have some exceptional speed players on the perimeter, and their wide receivers, particularly Willie Epps, who's a senior, can go up and get the ball. Defensively, extremely athletic in the secondary. Their defensive backs and safeties can run. Their linebackers can run. And then they're anchored, as always, by a large and athletic defensive line, very, very similarly built defensively to the team we just played in the University of New Haven. But Southern, I don't think you can say they have a down year. They don't rebuild, they reload, and I'm sure they'll be ready for us to come to town on Saturday.
Well, Coach, you mentioned some of the weapons that they have offensively starting up front with that ground game. Do you try to stack the box defensively? Do you have enough trust in your secondary to do that?
Yeah, I think that's if I can pick an area that we've really dramatically improved, and that's the secondary. Athletically, we're much better than we've ever been in my tenure here. The student athletes are working hard. They're very much in tune to what we're asking them to do. And I think that's what anytime you play Southern, that's the number one objective is we have to stop power, we have to stop inside zone and stretch, and then react to bootlegs and nakeds that they run in the pass game, and then be ready for them to throw it deep because they're going to go play action and go double post on you, and we've got to try to stop the run, and then we'll react to the pass because if you don't stop them in the run game, that's all they're going to do.
Coach Pat Murphy joining us on the Brothers Guest Menu here as we break down the St. A's matchup with Southern Connecticut State on the St. A's Coaches Show, part of the Nick and Astor Show on Sports Radio WGAM, The Game. Coach, that game is 1 o'clock on Saturday. If your quarterbacks, both of them, Doucette and Cupa, unable to go, and it's Andrew Murphy getting his first start, do you dial down the offense in any way?
I think you absolutely have to, with a freshman quarterback, try to make things as simple as possible for him. And really, in our system, everything flows through that position. So we've got to try to simplify things, and we've got to try to ease the pressure on that decision-making for him as much as possible and try to give him some easy reads in both the run game and the pass game to enable him to get a little bit of comfort and then go from there. Absolutely.
Coach, give me some keys. Final question. Keys to a victory over Southern Connecticut State.
Well, you mentioned it. We've got to stop the run. Number one, we've got to stop the run. And if we do that, then we'll have an opportunity to effectively win special teams. That's the number two thing is I think we've done a relatively good job all year in the special teams phase of the game. And then we need good decision making from our quarterback. Doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to have a phenomenal game as far as statistics go. But what he's got to do is he's got to make the decisions that we do give him to make the right decisions in those areas. And if we do that, we'll have an opportunity to win the game. We took a step backwards last week, but I'm very much looking forward to taking a couple steps forward against Southern, and I think we'll do that. This team's resilient. It's been a fun year for us since last January with this group of guys. They're very much together, a close-knit group. They're working well together. They have a goal in mind, and they're more resilient than any team that we've had since I've been here. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they respond this week because I really think it's going to be a positive.
I hope so as well. Coach, good luck this weekend. Back on the road, back in the state of Connecticut, taking on Southern Connecticut State. 4th road game in 5 tries. I don't care what you say, Coach. That's a tough way to open up. Certainly good luck Saturday.
Thank you very much, Nick. Appreciate it.
That's Coach Pat Murphy joining us on the St. A's Coaches Show here on the Nick and Astis Show on Sports Radio WGAM. The game coming up. We'll try and get a hold of PJ Senatore, senior member of that offensive line that Coach Murphy talked about. He'll be back on the show in a moment here on the Nick and Astis Show at Sports Radio WGAM. The game. Hey, man, it's lunchtime, and I'm starving. I want something that tastes good but won't cost me half my paycheck. I only have an hour.
I know the perfect place, Brothers Restaurant and Lounge.
That's a great idea.
At Brothers, they have the best Greek, Italian, seafood, and American dishes, and they've been serving families in Manchester for 40 years.
Plus, the lunch menu is unbeatable. Every day from 11 to 3, everything on the menu is under $8.
Think I'll bring the family down to Brothers tonight as well. The dinner menu includes pasta, lasagna dishes, calzone, steak tips, lamb, and other specialty Greek dinners.
I think I'll come by during the game to check out the Brothers Lounge. The Brothers Bar Special includes a 16-ounce draft plus an appetizer for $5.99. Potato skins, chicken tenders, buffalo wings, onion rings.
Say, where are they located again?
6 Willow Street in Manchester. Call 668-7333 and tell them we're on the way.
Brothers Restaurant and Lounge, serving families in the Manchester area for 40 years. Ask about the WGAM special. See the full menu at brothersmanchester.com.
I'm Jim Cook, brewer and founder of Sam Adams. There's a rhythm to the season, so at Sam Adams, we develop styles of beer to accompany that. We brew Samuel Adams Oktoberfest, Winter Lager, and Alpine Spring, and right now, there's Summer Ale. Samuel Adams Summer Ale is a flavorful wheat beer. It has a nice spice note and a little lemon zest. It's brewed with a historic brewing spice called Grains of Paradise. But just like summer, Summer Ale won't be around for long.
Boston Beer Company, Boston, Mass. Savor responsibly.
Coming up on Tuesday's Home Team with Matt Perrault, Bill Belichick's contact with the referee has set off a firestorm. Should he be suspended? Should he be fined? We'll discuss it more coming up on Tuesday. Also, Sam Kennedy from the Boston Red Sox front office will stop on by. They're going to honor the 2004 World Series championship Boston Red Sox team on Tuesday night at Fenway Park. We'll talk to Sam about the activities happening at Fenway. That and more. It's the Home Team with Matt Perrault following Christian and King.
Weekdays 4 to 6. Sports Radio WGAM. The Game.
What if the more fun you had, the more fit you'd get?
I laugh so much in this class. It's like an extra ab workout.
Now you can get your groove and your body back with a brilliant new workout that's only at Curves.
I learned this little hip shake thing, and now there's a lot less hip to shake.
Introducing the Curves Circuit with Zumba Fitness, the new 30-minute class that mixes the music and moves of the Zumba program with the proven strength training of Curves.
You don't have to know how to dance. You just have to know how to have fun.
Come shimmy and sculpt while burning up to 500 calories in just 30 minutes.
Now my kids don't call me Mom. They call me Mambo.
The new Curves Circuit with Zumba Fitness. It's the wildly effective workout that's only at Curves.
Stop by Curves today at 14A Broad Street in Nashua to become a member. Give them a call at 579-6996. For more information, log on to curves.com.
I'm Jeff Gordon, warning parents about pertussis. Imagine a cough barreling through your infant's body at up to 100 miles per hour, with enough force to make him gasp for air. Pertussis, or whooping cough, is potentially fatal, and it's most often spread by parents. Help protect your baby by protecting yourself. Ask about the adult pertussis vaccine.
Sponsor of Red Sox baseball on Sports Radio WGAM. The Game. Bud Light, the sure sign of a good time.
Nick and Astis on WGAM The Game. Call 603-883-9900 and add to the controlled chaos. Sports Radio WGAM The Game.
Welcome back inside the Nick and Astis Show. We continue to roll along, rambling on. That's our job, I suppose. Sports Talk Business. I'm Nick and Astis. Christian Arcan is behind the board. We've got PJ Senatore on the line. PJ, senior offensive lineman for the St. A's Hawks. as the St. Anselm Coaches Show continues. PJ, what's up, man? Thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, I want to get your take here. Might as well on last night. Did you watch that Monday night game?
I watched the first half and then decided to go to bed. I had a early lift this morning and I had a early class, but I saw all the sacks in the first half.
Yeah, that was wild. I think they had 8 at halftime, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, Seattle's team looked pumped up.
Yeah, and then the second half, a little different story. The Packers started moving the football, and then obviously I think you've heard by now the controversial Hail Mary that should have been an interception but was ruled a touchdown for Seattle. What do you think about what's going on with the referees?
I think it's going to take a week before they, get fully used to the NFL atmosphere. I mean, they're replacement refs, so they're going to be a little shaky, and they're going to make, some questionable calls that everyone's going to, have issues about. I mean, you can't just take a bunch of refs and throw them into the NFL and expect them to be as high of a caliber as the former NFL refs that are on strike.
Yeah. Well, it's just a shame they can't figure it out, in my opinion, and something's got to be done here. But that's neither here nor there. You guys got another tough road test coming up against Southern Connecticut State. Second straight trip, back-to-back weeks in the state of Connecticut itself. What are you guys working on this week in practice?
Well, we're basically gonna keep on working on things we've been working on. We gotta pick the tempo up. The offensive line, me included, have to have a hell of a week of practice, and we gotta have a good game. I mean, if Ray or Cooper doesn't come back, Andy Murphy's going to start, and we need to make things as easy as possible for him. So we're looking at a high-intensity week. I don't think much is going to change as far as the general scheme goes if we have a freshman quarterback starting. Things are going to be, we're going to be doing our base packages, but a game against Southern, they're 0-4, but it's still Southern Connecticut State. They've always been a premier team in the NE10, and no matter what their record is, no matter what the situation is, we are not going to take this game lightly, as we shouldn't for any team in the NE10.
Now, I just had Coach Murphy on a moment ago as we speak with PJ Senatore of the St. A's Hawks. He said you guys weren't ready to play against New Haven. Is that true?
Well, some of us were and some of us weren't. Again, it comes with having a young team and a lot of inexperience, and the maturity shows in players that have been there and have been in that situation before, and the immaturity shows in players who are in there for the first time.
Right.
I think a lot of the younger players went in, saw the marching band, saw the jumbotron, the scoreboard, and all the flashing lights and everything, and just kind of were the deer in the headlights in the entire game.
Right.
And it just comes with having a young team, and we're trying to ask our younger players to mature faster than normal young players would on any other college team, and it's a lot to ask, but in order for us to be successful, we cannot let things like playing a nationally ranked team and at their home place with everything going on get to us.
Right.
It just can't happen.
PJ Senatore, one of the senior offensive linemen, joining us on the St. A's Coaches Show, part of the Nick Anastas Show here on Sports Radio, WGAM The Game. Tell me a little bit more about Andrew Murphy. He may make his first career start on Saturday, came in against New Haven for an injured Ray Doucette, and completed 4 passes, 4 of 7 for 15 yards. What do we tell me a little bit more about Mr. Murphy.
Well, Murphy, before Ray and Coop went down, Murphy hasn't really taken a lot of snaps per se with the first offense, but the kid can run. He's got a decent arm, and the kid just works his butt off in practice. So I don't expect nothing less during practice this week or the game. I mean, he might have some difficulty, being a freshman thrown into the mix again in his first game against Southern Connecticut. But I know for a fact the kid's going to be busting his butt, and the rest of the team has to, build around him to make sure everything's easier for him. And, when in a situation like this, having a freshman quarterback, the offensive line has to step up, the defense everyone has to step up because,
right.
It's being part of the team. When adversity happens, we have to make up and be resilient to that adversity.
Right. PJ, what do you guys need to do better as a group up front to move the football? Traditionally, that was one of your strengths, running the ball. This year, not so much, under 2 yards per carry. What needs to change up front?
Well, this is the same as always. We need to come off the ball. We need to execute our assignments. We need to be, ready to play mentally. It's tough with a young group, but I think as a leader, I got to be better in preparing them more to come off the ball, and that's the key to anything. Just to absolutely run off the ball. And I think there's a little bit of indecisiveness still having a young group, and when it comes to running the ball, you just got to be fast and you got to be quick in executing your assignments.
All right, PJ, last question. I asked Coach the same thing. What are keys to a victory over Southern New Hampshire? What do you guys need to do to get a win? Not Southern New Hampshire, Southern Connecticut.
Well, I heard what he said, and I agree with him. And from an offensive line standpoint, we got to be able to run the ball this week. We got to be able to give Andy Murphy some time to throw the ball. We're down 2 quarterbacks. That's on us. Now we have a freshman quarterback. The heat is on, and we got to step up to this challenge. Everything's on us this week. We got to have a hell of a week of practice, and we got to have a hell of a game. It's time for us to step up, me, myself included.
Spoken like a true leader, PJ. I appreciate the time. Certainly good luck on Saturday. You guys are going to pull one off here eventually. And why not against an 0-4 Southern Connecticut State? That would be a big win for the program, and certainly give you guys some momentum coming back home against Bentley on October 6th. PJ, appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's PJ Senatore joining us from the Hilltop, one of St. A's leaders up front on the offensive line. That does it for the St. A's Coaches Show. Each and every Tuesday, we are joined by a coach and a player from St. A's College as the Hawks season in full swing. St. A's looking for their first win on the football field Saturday, 1 o'clock at Southern Connecticut State. Coming up in hour number 2, more talk about these refs. What needs to be done? We'll figure it out, hopefully, and the league needs to figure it out as well. Plus, the New England Patriots gearing up for another couple of days of practice before heading back onto the road to take on a stubborn Buffalo Bills team that beat New England in Buffalo in 2011. We'll break that one down a little bit as well. Your phone calls and more, all on the way in hour number 2. It's the Nick and Astis Show, and it's only on Sports Radio WGAM The Game.